Hello again, students. Welcome back. You have watched the first very short episode of my teaching show where I just said I wanted to do this and where I asked you whether you would be with me on this. And maybe unsurprisingly, a lot of you have said that yes, they actually want to see me do more of this. And so here I am doing more of this. Now, as some of you may already know, I am mostly a fan of science fiction and fantasy and all that kind of supernatural stuff, and a lot of those books behind me are really this big, and I could start with one of those, but I don't want to scare everybody away. So we're going to start with something simple and something which I hope is a bit easier to get into. Let's put it this way, okay? So today is Secret Agent Day. I have got with me two books. I have got this one and I have got this one, okay? So Secret Agent Day, and of two different kinds. So I'll start with the more classic one, which would be, of course, Casino Royale, Ian Fleming's Casino Royale. Now, a lot of you will probably know James Bond as the film character. You've seen the guy on the cover. Daniel Craig has been playing him for the last 3 or 4 movies, and we have had other actors do this before, and now I want to perhaps convince you to read a book by Ian Fleming based on the films that you know. And I have chosen Casino Royale because this was Ian Fleming's first James Bond novel, so it's really the ideal entry point for this. And the second reason I have chosen this is that Ian Fleming's writing is not actually that difficult, okay? He has a pretty straightforward writing style. There may be some vocabulary that is tricky for some of you, but nothing impossible. Like I said, it's straightforward, it's simple, relatively short sentences. There is some action in there, and if you've seen the film, you're going to recognize the book in large parts. I mean, some of the characters were updated for the film. They look different, they feel a bit different, they are more like 21st century rather than 1950s or something when this was written, or 1930s even. I should have really looked this up, but maybe I'm going to be better researched the longer I do this stuff. 1953, I was right. There you go. So where was I? Reboot. Yes, so you're going to recognize characters and like Le Chiffre, like Vesper Lind, people who are also in the film. You're going to recognize the broad plot structure, which is pretty similar than what you will have seen in the film if you have seen the film. And like I said, it is not too difficult to read. So what I wanted to do is I thought I would start with just giving you a bit of a sample from somewhere around the beginning of what you can expect really if you do decide to give this a try. Okay, so more or less we're going to start at the beginning. Okay, here's a little sample from Casino Royale. Le Chiffre was still playing and still apparently winning. There was an untidy pile of flagged 100 ml plugs in front of him. In the shadow of his thick left arm there nestled a discreet stack of the big yellow ones, worth 500,000 francs each. Bond watched the curious, impressive profile for a time, and then he shrugged his shoulders to lighten his thoughts and moved away. The barrier surrounding the caisse comes as high as your chin, and the cassier, who is generally nothing more than a minor bank clerk, sits on a stool and dips into his piles of notes and plaques. These are ranged on shelves. They are on a level behind the protecting barrier with your groin. The cassier has a coche and a gun to protect him, and to heave over the barrier and steal some notes and then vault back and get out of the casino through the passages and doors would be impossible. And the cassiers generally work in pairs. Bond reflected on the problem as he collected the sheaf of 100,000s and then the sheaves of 10,000 franc notes. With another part of his mind, he had a vision of tomorrow's regular morning meeting of the casino committee. So, just a small excerpt of the novel, just to give you a certain idea of what it is about, what you can expect in terms of language. And like I said, if you have seen the film, you should be easily able to follow this. So if you're bored, if you need something to fill up your days, if I haven't given you enough homework and the other teachers haven't given you enough homework, then maybe give Ian Fleming a try. If that is not quite your thing, if you think you cannot really relate to a womanizing spy out of the 1950s, then this is why I've got this here. Point Blank by Anthony Horowitz. Now, this is actually the second novel in a series. I used to have the first one as well, but I don't know where it is at the moment. Maybe I lent it out to somebody and I never got it back. That would not be the first time this has happened to me. At any rate, this is the second novel in the series. The first one is called Stormbreaker. And again, there was a film adaptation of this some years back. The point of this one is we do not have a womanizing spy of the 1950s who drinks martinis and stuff like that. The spy in this case is actually somebody like, I want to say like you and me, but really just like you, because he is a student at at school. He's about your age, lycée age, right? And his uncle used to be the spy. And in the very first chapter of the first book, we find out that his uncle got killed. And in the course of this, he finds out, Alex Rider, he finds out that his uncle was actually a spy for MI6. And in the course of that book, he is then asked by MI6 to replace his uncle in the mission that he was currently doing. They needed a rider for that mission, so Alex Rider was asked to fill in for his uncle in that mission. So he was sent on a mission. He did some teenage spy stuff, like a teenage James Bond. And that is the first book, Stormbreaker. And in this one, Point Blank is a sequel to that. And again, he is sent out to do some spy stuff and do a spy mission. Again, like before, I want to give you a small sample of the book, show you what you're in for if you should decide to read that. Again, this is young adult fiction. This is written for teenagers, so again, the language level is nothing too crazy. It's not something that you need to be super good at in English to understand. You can just enjoy it with that level on English that you should have by now. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to my quatrième, my troisième, or my première students here. You should be at the level of English that you could understand most of this. Let's hear a sample. This is from a chapter called Room 13. It was raining in Paris. The city was looking tired and disappointed, the Eiffel Tower fighting against a mass of heavy cloud. There was nobody sitting at the tables spread outside the cafes, and for once the little kiosks selling paintings and postcards were being ignored by the tourists hurrying back to their hotels. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the evening was drawing in. The shops and offices were emptying, but the city didn't care. It just wanted to be left alone. The helicopter had landed in a private area of Charles de Gaulle Airport, and a car had been waiting to drive them in. Alex had said nothing during the flight, and now he sat on his own in the back watching the buildings flash by. They were following the Seine moving surprisingly fast along a wide dual carriageway that dipped above and below the water level. Their route took them past Notre Dame. Then they turned off, weaving their way through a series of back streets, with small restaurants and boutiques fighting for space on the pavements. "The Marais," Mr. Stellenbosch said. Alex pretended to show no interest. In fact, he had stayed in the Marais district once before and knew it as one of the smartest and most expensive quarters of Paris. The car turned into a large square and stopped. Alex glanced out of the window. He was surrounded on four sides by the tall classical houses for which Paris is famous. But the square had been disfigured by a single modern hotel. It was a white rectangular block, the windows fitted with dark glass that allowed no view to the inside. It rose up 4 floors with a flat roof and the name Hôtel du Monde in gold letters above the main door. If a spaceship had landed in the square, crushing a couple of buildings to make room for itself, it couldn't have looked more out of place. This is it for a small extract from Point Blank, like I said, the sequel to Stormbreaker, which is the first novel. I would suggest starting with Stormbreaker because in terms of plot it makes more sense for you to start at the beginning rather than on the second novel, but like I said, I don't have the first novel anymore, so I chose to give you an example out of Point Blank because language-wise the two books are pretty similar. Now, this is it for my first video, like I said, secret agent themed. Maybe some of you will be interested in this. I'm trying to find different topics for my different shows, so if Secret Agent is not for you, then maybe tomorrow's video will be more to your liking. Who knows, who knows, okay? This is it from me. I'm going to stop here because I don't want these videos to be super long. If you were interested, have a look at those novels. If you need any additional information, if you want me to write down the title of the book, the author, then you know how to contact me. We have Teams in place, we have Yammer in place, so you can easily contact me, or you can just write a comment down below the YouTube video. And that's it from me for today. I hope you are still doing fine at home. I hope you are staying at home. And well, who knows? Maybe we'll see each other soon, and if not, then you are going to see me on YouTube tomorrow. Have fun. Bye-bye.